Welcome to the Corner Kick Show. I am your host, Nick Prokop. With me, as always, is the benevolent and fair Tyler Whitesides and Joey DiNapoli. How are you guys doing?
Beautifully.
Beautifully, Tyler. How come people find you?
Oh, well, my name's Tyler Whitesides, and at ProtectorNet on Twitter. Also, I like that you called me benevolent. Let's move on.
Well, I called you both benevolent. I'm calling you both benevolent and fair.
Oh, well, whatever. I'm taking it from me. Huh?
Joey.
I am Splendiferous. Thank you for asking. This is Joey DiNapoli. You can find me on Twitter at Buckeye Italian. And if you don't know spelling by now, you should probably listen to past episodes.
And you should just subscribe on Twitter. I don't know, well, not on. You can follow us on Twitter at Corner Kick Show or me at Buckeye Nick 7. I would prefer you guys just to follow us at Corner Kick Show. Or subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher. You can get the shows downloaded straight to your phone when you subscribe. If you can't find us that way, cornerkick.tangentboundnetwork.com, which also means, hey, we're part of the Tangent Bound Network. Go to tangentboundnetwork.com to find all the wonderful shows, which is finally up and running and smoothly looking. It's got a great look where you can just categories all the shows, so you can say it says Nerd and Geek at the top. You can go to those shows. You want movies, they'll go to the movie shows. Sports, you'll find us in a bunch of hockey podcasts. Apparently nobody wants to talk about anything else, and we're the only soccer show, so that's a good thing for us. All right, so, gentlemen, MLS transfers will start up next week. July 8th is when the window opens up for MLS. There is 3 huge names right now, and actually I believe one is finally being officially announced, even though it was already slipped. But we have apparently Gio Dos Santos coming to MLS to play in LA. Maybe Chicharito Hernandez to Orlando, even though there's rumors of other teams still in the mix for him. And Andrea Pirlo is going to NYCFC. I am very excited to see more talent come, but I really want to know what Tyler thinks on this.
Well, it's funny you said slipped. Right, when they said slipped, I thought you meant Stevie G, but he's already signed. Oh, boom roasted.
Oh, bam!
But, no, yeah, so with the slip of NYCFC's PR team, and that's about as dumb as it gets. I mean, I don't know how you make that kind of mistake, but okay. Especially when you can edit things offline and then make them officially online. Like, how do you mess that up? I don't know. But I do love that he's coming to the league. I don't like that he's going to NYCFC because, well, they're stupid. And I hate them. But that's a Manchester City connection for me that I hate so much. And then Dos Santos, that's a good signing, I think. It's a good signing for the league. I don't know where he's going to get distributed, probably to LA because, LA. And as far as Chicharito, all the teams being linked to him are pretty cool and all, but I would love for him to come to Colorado. It's unlikely, but it's possible, so it'd be cool.
That's kind of nice. Joey, thoughts?
Yeah, as far as Pirlo goes, I mean, I'm going to be honest, New York City FC is not going to really appreciate him the way he probably should be. Of course, I'm also the guy that has also said for years that Pirlo is probably one of the most overrated players to come from the World Cup winning squad. Mostly because of his ability to be a maestro and such, but it's more about Cannavaro and Buffon just not getting enough praise compared to him. There's a lot of people that like offense, and I get it, but Italy was a defensive team anyway. So yeah, there's that. And I don't understand how that's really going to work with him, Lampard, and Mix. I mean, is Pirlo and Lampard going to be, defensive mid? Like, I don't know.
That's weird.
I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way, but them both on the field at the same time. And I mean, it could work, but I'm interested to see how it does work. Yeah, I think Dos Santos is going to LA Galaxy as well. Is that confirmed or not?
It's not confirmed, but he did tweet out something about Robbie Keane the other day, and he has no other link to Robbie Keane, so it's kind of intriguing.
And allegedly on his Snapchat, he also sent a picture of the LA Galaxy crest Allegedly,
Okay.
I don't follow him, but I saw a
I
bunch of
don't
people
know,
tweeting
honestly.
about it. So.
So.
Well, let's say then, for the sake that it's going to happen, because the LA Galaxy is looking for another star to fill in. They kind of need it.
Yeah, they need someone to fill the LD spot.
And
Yeah.
with this core player situation, they can buy down Gonzalez's
True.
contract down to
Like
the core player
he'll
role.
be the core guy.
Yeah.
As far as Chicharito goes, too, I mean, he has a broken collarbone now, too, that they have to look at. If they want to go and get him, that's fine, but, any team that's, looking to get him is going to have to be wary of that and the investment involved. So I'm not sure who it's going to be at this point. I'm hoping it's not Orlando because, again,
Me too.
I appreciate a player like him. So, but we'll, it's a wait and see thing.
Yeah, that's true. I wanted to mention one thing. You mentioned the midfield for New York City FC with Pirlo and Lampard and Mix. I have a feeling that since Christ likes to diamond so much, I'm wondering if maybe he's going to make Pirlo a defensive mid at the bottom. I mean, he's not. Pirlo isn't Beckerman and doesn't really do that Beckerman style, in my opinion, but I feel like that's what he's going to try to force him into, and then had Ned Gravoboy as the right Shudler, Mix as the left Shudler, and then Lampard under David Villa in the top part.
Here's the thing about this is that is Pirlo, right? He's a pure number 6 now. He created it basically as the maestro, as the deep line playmaker. He started out as an attacking midfielder. Now he's back in the defensive player, but he's not a defender. He's not a defensive playing center mid either. He's a maestro. He's a midfield maestro, as you said, but he does it from the defensive mid role, kind of like. I don't want to give Beckerman that kind of praise. That sounds crazy, but he plays in the same
Michael
position.
Bradley. Michael fucking Bradley.
Like Michael Bradley should be, but he doesn't. But yeah, so he basically created that Hollywood ball to the outside to kind of create the space. That's what Pirlo does. So if you put him at that CDM, right, at the anchor, as they call it in that position, put Mix in more of an attacking role, right, and then have I don't know what just happened, but have Lampard be your box-to-box guy, then it's perfect. I don't see how that wouldn't work. The only thing that sucks out of all this is that Thomas McNamara is going to get completely relegated to the bench, which pisses me off because since he's come in, he's been dynamic for them. He's scored, a goal, maybe 2, gotten a couple of assists already just for being off the bench, which I like. I mean, of course, they have Mehdi Bellucci too, which is terrible, but that's okay.
That's true. I on Chicharito, I really don't want him going to Orlando either. They already have 3 DPs, unless Rochez or Rivas all of a sudden turns into one of those core players. I just don't want that happening at all. I feel like we already know, and before we get into another MLS transfer topic, we already know that MLS is very biased to certain markets, and it's one of those things for me that it's just I hate that they do that because it's clear they want their pet projects in the big cities to actually succeed more. So when you hear Dos Santos or Chicharito coming to MLS, they automatically think, okay, well, I'm in whatever market, so we're probably not going to get him anyways. Or, I'm in KC, so we probably won't get him. So that's kind of why I have a little issue with that. One other thing that I want to point out, it makes me laugh, and I'm so happy about this. Mexican fans are freaking out about these two wanting to come to MLS, or even the potential thought of it, because why don't you come back to Liga MX? So that's one, to me, a win for MLS, because they're really, when you come to comparison of leagues, Liga MX is always going to be the closest link to MLS, and the success of MLS is how are we compared to Liga MX at this point in time. And bringing in 2 of their national team's best players to our league is just kind of like a big shot in the face, like, ha, we got you guys. So that's one thing I wanted to point out before we go on to the next topic. My other point is these guys are kind of, except for Pirlo, are somewhat in their prime or getting middle towards the end of prime. Pirlo obviously is the only one that's like world-class draw. Not trying to knock the Mexican guys that much, but if I was to go to China, if I was to name these three names off, they're most likely going to know who Andrea Pirlo is before the other two. So to be the world-class level players are still not coming to MLS in any shape or form unless it's like on that last contract. Even you could put in Clint Dempsey in that type of scenario, even though I wouldn't name him world-class. He's kind of in the better frame of USA players. So it's one of those situations that didn't happen until he was on the back end of his. So,
well, in the apt words of Ray Hudson, I would watch Andrea Pirlo do laundry. That is how good he is, and just fluid, how sexy he moves.
I totally agree.
That's the idea.
But Tyler, what are you thinking about this whole like tier system and how these guys are coming in and what we should really do when it comes to transfers instead of trying to get these back end guys like Pirlo?
Well, I see, like the Pirlo one, I like. I know that's toward the end of the career, and
I agree.
It's kind of sucky, but he was getting looked at for bigger clubs in EPL. All these other teams wanted him. This isn't like one of those things where we got him because he's old. You know what I mean? Like in the past, we've gotten players like Thierry Henry when they were on their way to basically get on a beach or play golf or become a pundit. So for me, the only thing that I hate about all this is the fact that MLS is the owner of all these players. I still think that a franchise model is terrible because then you do have teams like LA, you have teams like New York City who can afford these players in those small markets, who will get allocated these players by the league because the league will go out and be the one that actually pays for them, right?
Yeah, that's
they
true.
have to negotiate, not the team as much, but the league goes and negotiates the fee. They get a portion of that fee, any transfer fee that goes through, whether out or in. They have to pay a portion if they want or not, or else the other team has to come up with it. It's kind of a weird, shitty model to me where the team has very little input, but they have to put all the risk.
Exactly.
Like, if I wanted to go buy Chicharito, that's great, but right now, as Joey pointed out earlier before the podcast, his contract's not up till next year, so we're going to have to buy him. He's not coming on a free, so that means MLS is going to have to be the one to negotiate the deal to get him first, and then once they actually pay for him, whatever team is willing to pay the most in return to get him from MLS is going to be the team that gets him. I mean, a la Jones or Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley. I mean, you look at any of these guys, they were allocated, but come on, let's be real. They were only allocated based on who could afford him. That's exactly what this situation is, only it's not allocation because it's going to be behind closed doors. It's bullshit.
Well, and another thing to add in there also, it basically... I was talking to a fan of, most people know that I'm a Columbus fan. I was talking to a fan that I don't even know this person, so it doesn't really matter. But I know I was talking to a Columbus fan, and they mentioned if we sold a certain player, about the money that we could reinvest elsewhere. And I mentioned, just MLS get a fee of that because it's an MLS contract, and because MLS owns all the contracts for every team, technically. So it sucks because if say Colorado has a really good player and they want to sell him, Dylan Powers, so like it's actually a great example. So if Palermo or someone like that came in and wanted to give $7 million or something like that to Colorado to get Dylan Powers, they're only going to get what, $5, maybe $4 million of that.
Yeah, I think the unreported, the unofficial reported number has been like 33% of the transfer fee goes to MLS. 33%. For
That's
what? I don't know.
For sitting on their ass. Joe, your thoughts on this?
Touching more on Tyler's thoughts, the model is also bogus for the players themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They can be moved and traded without really consenting to it, and a lot of international players aren't used to that sort of thing. They're used to, the clubs agreeing between themselves for a transfer fee, and then the player having his own negotiations with said club on a new contract. But in the MLS, it doesn't work that way. The contract stays intact, and you can just be moved during the transfer period. In and that causes a lot of problems for a lot of international players, like I said, because they're just not used to it. And you know, we've had players that have quit the league altogether because of it. You know,
Well, we had a situation
I was about to
last
say,
year.
Columbus had I want to say his name was Alvaro Rey
Yes.
last season that did it. So I mean, not a big name or anything, but
Hercules
you
Gomez.
know,
That's a good name. That's actually a good name, Tyler.
yeah, I mean, so I mean, it's not really conducive to bringing over international talent
True.
while they're still younger, you know, and that's that. I mean, you can point out Giovinco and other names and such, but it's not really, and obviously Giovinco's not going to get traded. He's
Oh,
not.
God, no.
But I'm
God.
just saying, if we brought over players and developed them,
Yeah.
like if they came over here for development,
Kind of like
you know,
Diego
not so much
Fagundez.
that, you know, as already polished players. I mean, I don't know what the likelihood of that is,
Yeah.
you know. And then we can't, you know, a club can't turn around and really sell him without the MLS getting involved. Like it's a very, very like I understand why it exists right now. I'm just hoping in the future the CBA will keep knocking it down as it goes. I mean, that's what we're going to have to hope for is that the players pretty much negotiate the entire thing into not existing at some point.
That and also the owners themselves. I know I've talked to some quote in the know people around MLS about this, and some of the owners do kind of want full autonomy because if they had that power, they would probably be selling and bringing in better players that they could just bring right into the club instead of having to wait through all this process. And that's one major issue for certain owners because they would probably have better players or at least be, you know, getting in better sales, better buys, and getting better international players. And the only player I can think of, Joey, that you mentioned, like the younger players, and I think it's just because his parents moved to the USA, was Diego Fagundez, the Uruguayan. He came over basically because his family was coming over, but New England found him at a young age, groomed him, and now they have him at 22, I believe. But there's not many other stories you can find on that. But while we're talking about international players,
Well, yeah, but before you change over,
what else you got, Tyler? What else you got?
well, the issue for me, I don't want to open a whole other can of worms here, but if you think about the way that MLS works, is that you also have this draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason for the
They're
draft, huh?
They're cutting that down too because they want everyone to go through academies.
They should, because right now, if I wanted to pick up a young player, like let's say 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put him in my youth system. I can't unless I draft him at 20 years old. It's not possible unless he's from my area, and he could come in and move to my city, right? Without a full contract. If he wants to move to my city and come into the youth system, then he could join as a homegrown. But if he's not in my youth system, I can't buy him and allocate him to say Charlotte Independence, which is our team, right? You can't do that. There's no way to get youth players that you want, that you've scouted, and this is why other teams pluck our youth players. Like, I don't know, who's that guy with Arsenal? Gideon Zalalem.
Yes.
That's the reason he's not playing for an MLS team, is that he was from what, DC?
Yes.
DC United didn't
North Carolina, actually.
Oh, Carolina,
but
okay.
It would
they
still
don't
be
have
the
a team.
DC area.
But they don't have a team, right? So they don't have a youth team.
DC area.
So unless he doesn't want money and wants to go into their youth setup and be good in their youth team and then work his way through, but he wants money as a youth contract with another team, he's going to go elsewhere. There's no reason for him to stick around here.
And that's why DC United had an MLS sold Andy Nahar at such a young age to, I believe it was Anderlecht that bought him. So they didn't really try to develop him at all. I think it was 19 or 20 when we sold him. But another point, and I really don't want to get into this because it's going to open a really, really big can of worms. But if you look at some of the way the international system is ran, there's an incentive to grow the youth players locally or wherever and make them better because in the way players are bought internationally. So basically the story that's going on right now is Tottenham bought DeAndre Edlin from MLS, and they sent the whole, here's the youth team money or whatever, because the team that grew him as a player, which is Crossfire up in Washington, that academy is supposed to get money for that team, and that for that sale. And
wasn't
that
it $100,000 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Well, and that's how it works in most European clubs. Like, so
well,
when
that's
Arsenal,
a FIFA rule, actually. Let's set that up. It's a FIFA rule that
is a
U.S.
FIFA
soccer
and currently there's a fight right now with Crossfire and trying to get that money because MLS pocketed it. Well, there's a big issue, and the main reason why is, like, say Mesut Ozil, when he got bought by Arsenal from Real Madrid, some of that money from that sale to Arsenal came from Real Madrid to the club that he grew. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a really small club in the Division 4 of Germany that he grew up on and was groomed on. They got like 500.
10%.
Yeah, they got 500 to 600,000,
yeah.
Which is pretty good change for a smaller team because then they can help reinvest stuff. Well, the biggest issue right now, and this is where I'm going to end on it, is USA has the whole pay-to-play system for almost every sports as a youth or any academy or anything like that. That's the biggest issue is these teams are pretty much going to take that money from the kids and their families and this money from the transfers. And what says that until there's a structure set up that says, these teams must turn this money around into developing these players, who says that academy's not going to just pocket that money from themselves? On top of that, like, morally, Crossfire should get the money, but who says they're not going to turn around and spend it on the kids? They might just pocket it for their coaches or whatever, or maybe just save it for a rainy day. Really, it should be set up so that there should be less fees or less things for players there. But we go on a way big tangent, but hey, we are part of the Tangent Bound Network, so that makes sense. Moving on to international play. Down in the Copa America, we finally have a final this Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Chile versus Argentina. This is kind of the matchup I was expecting at the beginning of this tournament, but that's kind of where I'm thinking about it. Guys, what do you think?
Well, I mean, we're not shocked to see it being Chile and Argentina right now, especially after Brazil losing Neymar, and their entire approach to goal scoring was in flux. I think the way though that both these teams went through was kind of shocking. Paraguay, they're usually defensively stingy, and against Argentina they were anything but. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I scored a goal in that match without being. I mean, looking at the highlights of it was a really bad performance in terms of, I want to say, 3 areas. Getting back on the counterattack, handling crosses, and just not clearing the ball when necessary. I mean, it was a very lackadaisical, unorganized attempt by Paraguay, and so that's why Argentina did what they did to them.
Yeah.
And Chile, man, Vargas. Let's talk about Vargas for a minute.
Yeah.
So
that was a pretty goal.
That goal he had was it was brilliant, and the one commentator was so flustered that what did he say? It was a 100-watt megawatt goal or something like that. I mean,
that's Ray Hudson, baby.
For words.
That's Ray Hudson. 100 gigawatt goal. So beautiful.
I would have went with 121 gigawatt.
Yeah, like that. Well, he was probably going for that, but then couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, he probably was. That's the goal though itself was just it was an amazing goal. And the fact that Chile through to the final, just speak on his talent. It didn't get to see much of that during QPR this year or this last season. And he's a guy that's pretty much in flux, and then for probably a transfer during the summer himself.
Yeah.
I think Alexis Sanchez is trying to get Arsenal to buy him from Napoli. Napoli's the one that owns him, but he hasn't played. I don't want to say he's played more than 10 matches for Napoli. He's been loaned out the last 3 years. But I would like to see him stay at Napoli too. Especially after that kind of performance. So yeah, I mean that's where we are right now. But I expect this match between Argentina and Chile to be a close one. But I feel like I got to go with Chile winning just in front of the home crowd.
Yeah.
It just feels like that. I mean, they've gotten through on talent some other occasions and bullshit on other occasions. Sticking fingers up Enson Cavani's ass. Vidal's still playing despite a DUI.
Yeah.
Like I said, they've put out some good performances too. But I think just playing at home, I don't think they're going to have the defensive lapses that Paraguay had. I mean, they completely fell apart and just let Argentina do whatever they want. I really don't see it happening in this match. So.
Tyler, your thoughts?
Well, my only thing with this next match is Chile. I watched that game actually, and for me, Chile was up a man, right? I mean, after the 20th minute or something, and they were the more creative team, and they looked the better side as far as talent. But Peru actually didn't look like they were overwhelmed, and I thought that they dominated a lot. And then once they tied it up 1-1 after being down a man, I was like, wow, Peru might actually pull this off. So for me, maybe it was just Chile being lax and understanding they're up a man, so they were just going to take time and let it work down. But I don't know. I think that could be to the advantage of Argentina if they're going to play like that, because they did look the better side talent-wise. I mean, when they had the ball, they were dynamic. They moved it with pace. They controlled. They switched the field very easily. And again, that could be Peru being down a man. But to me, Peru was breaking them down pretty easily offensively in the middle part of the game, not necessarily at the end, because after Vargas's shot off that guy's ass, which ended up scoring, it was pretty much all Chile. But I think Argentina wins this, and just because you do have players like Di Maria, Messi, Mascherano, who are actually going to step up. I don't know. I think it could go either way, but I think Argentina pulls this off.
Well, and I think Argentina has the best defensive backs. I think you got Otamendi, Garay, Zabaleta, Rojo. All those guys are really, 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 really good to me. That's the thing. Those guys are all good, and I think that'll be enough for them. And especially if Javier Mascherano is playing right in front of them. I mean, he's such a talented defensive mid that if he's playing right there with them, I think they're gonna all be very strong at the back to stop Vargas, Sanchez, Vidal being like the maestro in the middle. It's difficult to pick because Argentina, I feel like, is gonna win. I think it's gonna be 2-1, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But Chile being at home could be very helpful. That home field advantage has been very strong for them every match, and you can hear them very loud on the TV because they're very present in that match, and they want to win this, especially on the home advantage there. Joey, did you give a score?
No, you want a score?
Yeah, give a score.
Chile 2-1.
2-1. Tyler, did you give a score?
I did not, but I think it'll be Argentina 1-0.
Okay, so 2-1.
But don't discount. Obviously Vargas. That was a.
I'm just saying. I feel like the stronger back line will win
with Alexis Sanchez, and then also Vidal and Vargas.
Yeah.
They could score, but I just feel like the defense is so good for Argentina.
That's true. That's true.
Are you rage texting there, Joey? What is going on there?
I'm talking to somebody.
Well, talking to somebody is very American, and let's go to Friday's American versus Guatemala game.
Wow. What a stretch.
I get it, though. Wow. That was a hell of a transfer. All right. Well, USA tomorrow being Friday, unless you're listening on Friday, that would be today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. USA Guatemala friendly before the Gold Cup starts next week. And what do you expect out of this, Joey?
I'm expecting to see them. What kind of chances they're going to create, and I want to see them be patient in creating chances. I don't, through this Gold Cup, I don't want to see a ton of shots on goal without having the goals to count for them. And also, I'm also interested in seeing how Tim Ream plays. So if he can live up to that 2-time Player of the Year.
Well, one thing to point out is he probably will get a chance to play because he also plays left back. He doesn't play just center back, and you got to figure with the depth at center back that he's likely going to play some left back in the sense that, but you got to figure that Tim Ream is going to be playing left back. Just because there's so many center backs there. He might get a chance to play center back, but you already have Brooks, Gonzalez, Alvarado, and somebody else I can't think off the top of my head right now. But you got to figure that he's probably going to get a chance with Greg Garza, and maybe depending on if Fabian Johnson gets to play back there too. I really want to see them get a solid formation down and master it. So if it's a 4-3-3 or if it's back to the diamond or whatever they do, this 4-1-3-2 that they kind of employed in Europe with Beckerman as kind of that back six and having Bradley surrounded with 4 targets to knock the ball around that too. I actually like that formation, and with Bradley being the center of that 3, if they go somewhere with that route, the evolution of that setup would be nice to see. But yeah, formation's pretty much the big thing I'm going to be looking at and see the continuity in the formation. Also to see like who the center back pairing is and see if they last the whole tournament. Because I really, really like seeing a young pairing like Brooks and Alvarado, 22 and 21, trying to get out there and get, especially with Olympic qualifying coming up soon. They're going to be in the U23 scenario soon. Just getting them out there, getting them time together, playing as much as they can, because that's invaluable when it comes to the next World Cup itself. But if they keep playing together through the whole cycle, then that's going to be great chemistry going into against the big boys in the big tournament. So that's the big keys for me, Tyler.
Yeah, to me, I think I want them to play with their actual formation once they figure it out, obviously, because I think this is a good game to tinker with. I don't want to see them going out and only looking for a victory. This is not a game you need to scrape out a win. Let's figure out the team, figure out what we have, and go from there. Now, obviously, that's what we should have been doing this whole previous time, but we decided to win against these European rivals, whatever you want to call them. But I think
powerhouses.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should honestly figure out what we have in this, because I'd rather lose now and then get on a roll in the Gold Cup than lose in the Gold Cup.
I don't want to lose to Guatemala, though, because they're probably not going to make them there.
I don't care if we lose. What does it matter? I mean, honestly, if we lose this game trying something to get ourselves prepared, I'm happy. As long as we don't lose in the Gold Cup, because if we lose in the Gold Cup, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, that's true. I get it. I want to go just straight perfect 6-0, right? Because there's only 3 group stage games.
Yeah, but if you're going to lose a game, lose a game early, man. Don't lose it. Don't lose it after we get into the Gold Cup.
I don't want to lose to Haiti either, so that works.
There you go.
I think that's it. It's pretty much just a friendly, just to see what they can do.
A draw that feels like a loss, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of losses, though, one heartbreaking loss that I could not believe happened with a horrible own goal, really. England gives up an own goal to Japan, and Japan goes into the final to play our U.S. women this Sunday. Before we get into that game, England versus Germany and the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful own goal. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Oh, man. What to say about that goal? That was devastating. I mean, even watching it and being a U.S. fan, I was like, oh, man. Oh, I just felt for her. I mean, I've made some mistakes before in the game, but nothing like that. I mean, not at that stage, not like that. So I obviously don't have empathy because I've never been there. But oh God, I mean, I don't know. I just look at that and I just feel so bad for her that she had to go through that. I mean, that was a hell of a goal, though. Let's give her credit. I mean, Jesus, if that happened on the other side, we're talking about a great goal in the World Cup.
Oh my God!
A bar down, upper 90.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think this team will be resilient enough to come back and beat Germany?
No.
I think so.
That team's done.
Yeah.
There's no way you come back and actually feel like you're going to win something after that. You gave up the latest own goal in the history of the world.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. Joe, your thoughts on this?
I listened to ESPN today. I hate admitting that because I hate watching it. But they said something to the effect that she shouldn't feel bad because, in the history of sports, there's, plenty of instances where players have gaffed and cost their teams victories, and in typical ESPN fashion, they have all their, highlights of these things, ready to go, and, between a Memphis college player missing, a college basketball player missing 2 out of 3 free throws to lose a game, and I forget what else because I just tuned out after that.
Probably the Cleveland highlight reel.
I'm sure they probably said something about Chris Webber calling a timeout that he didn't have against North Carolina, and blah blah blah, because they run the same fucking things all the time. But I mean, really, and in soccer, when you score an own goal, it's probably the worst feeling in sports.
Easily.
Like it shouldn't happen. I mean we don't see too many instances where like in American football, like if a guy hands the football off to the opposing player and then he goes scores a touchdown. I mean interceptions, whatever, but I mean like physically hand it over, or scoring on your own basket in basketball. We don't see that too often, and when it does happen, it's not like gut-wrenching because like 2 points in basketball, I mean, yeah, it might have a difference by the end of the game, but at the moment, probably not, It's very minimal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one basket out of like 100 baskets scored in an entire game.
Right, and it'd be seen as a fluke if it went in the wrong basket,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but even if it only happens once, and that's the likelihood of it only happening maybe once a game if it happens, it doesn't mean anything.
True.
But when you score an own goal, it's devastating. It can be devastating, and I feel bad for her. But I'm gonna say that England should probably look forward to scoring at least probably 2 more own goals against Germany.
Oh, sad but true. Sad but true.
I think Germany is going to come out pissed off, and I mean, this was a team that scored 84 goals. 84 goals. Through qualification and these World Cup stages, and then score once against the U.S.
True, but think about the form that back line's in too for the U.S. It's insane
now. I'm not saying I'm not trying to discredit Germany. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that they have certain expectations.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of scoring goals. It didn't happen once.
Yeah.
So when we go up to England, I'm sure we're going to see a 5-goal performance at least.
So
well,
5-0 Germany, Joey. That's what you're saying. 5-0 Germany.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or 6-7 if you want to count the goals.
Tyler, do you have a score prediction?
Yeah, it always sucks losing to the eventual Women's World Cup winner or any winner. Yeah. So Germany's going to be pissed that they lost to the eventual winner of the Women's World Cup, and they're going to take it out on England.
Things to come. I think it's going to be pretty lopsided here. Germany's going to be scoring goals at will, I think, and they're probably going to get at least 5 or 6 in, I think. Tyler, you have any goal score? You got any?
Yeah, I would say 2-0. I'm not going to go as far as
You're not going to go crazy
5-0.
because, okay.
No, I mean, it's just, I know that
know.
they've broken their spirits, and it's possible that a 5-0 thing is going to happen, but I don't know. I think that Germany will just lay off the gas at that point.
We could always loan them Becky Sauerbrunn for a day. All right.
Where's that tie at?
There we go. All right.
High quality production.
Oh, very high quality. USA versus Japan for the World Cup final revenge.
Well, I hate to give up my spoiler in the previous mention, but USA is going to win that.
Well, it's Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, for those that want to find somewhere to go watch this. Yeah, I am pretty stoked for USA right now. I think they're out for blood, honestly, and that defense is just fantastic. I don't know which center back I want to give the MVP to, because even though Johnston had a gaffe that gave him the PK in this last game against Germany, that didn't matter anyways. But the whole back line has just been clicking so well that anybody in front of them, and they finally went to a 4-3-3. I've been calling you for it all tournament. 4-3-3. I just hope they stick with it. What? What did you say, Joey?
You're screeching at inaudible levels that only dogs.
Yeah, you just sounded like the T-Rex from Toy Story. That was beautiful, too. You got to get a soundbite of that.
They're going to be like, so what 12-year-old just started hosting this show?
That's awesome.
But Tyler, what do you think, really? I mean, obviously we're all pretty much going to say USA is going to win this, but how do you think they're going to win this? Are they going to stick with this 4-3-3 they brought out against Germany?
I hope so. Well, here's my thing: is if you look at the teams, not historically necessarily, but in this tournament, right? Japan, they don't have like a goal scorer, like a proven goal scorer. They haven't scored a lot of goals. They're very good. I mean, probably the best technical side as far as creativity, movement, possession. They are the best team in the tournament as far as style. But they don't score a lot of goals, and when they do, they win by 1 goal, right? So, to me, I think with the way that our defense is playing, as you so eloquently put, I don't see them scoring more than a goal, especially not with Hope Solo in there and the defense playing as well as they are. Exactly. And I think we get at least 2. I mean, if you watched that England game, I mean, really England was playing really well. They were dominating a lot of the game. Toward the second half, Japan started to put on a little more once the left wing came on for Japan. She was a little more creative, was able to get a couple shots on goal, or at least not even on target, but a little bit more creativity where they were able to put a little more pressure on England and have them sit back. But I just think if they can only score 1, and I say 1 loosely because the second one was obviously a beautiful goal by England themselves, but if they can only score 1 on England, imagine what they're going to do against the U.S. team with as good a defense as we have.
That's true.
So I think honestly this game's a 1-0 or a 2-1 game.
Okay.
U.S. Maybe more.
Joey.
I like the U.S. coming out and dominating. Hopefully they play in the same formation, but I mean let's face it, they're a lot taller, a lot more physical than Japan, and Japan's been a good defensive team, only allowing 3 goals for this tournament. I think if they approach this game the same way they did against Germany, I can see. I'm not going to say an effortless 2-0 victory, but it's going to seem effortless. But, I mean, it all depends on them playing the same formation with the same kind of tactics and commitment to, battling for balls and keeping control of the ball in midfield in this matchup. I mean, we don't want Japan getting comfortable at all in the way they play, which is very, very routine and machine-like. Mm-hmm. So we get them out of their comfort zone, and I can see the U.S. winning this 2-0.
Yeah. And one thing about Japan, they're really good at that Barca style of pass. Somebody's open for the goal, pass to them. They're really good at that type of production when it comes to setting up the goal. I just feel like with that back line as strong as they've been, it doesn't really matter whoever's in front of them for the holding roles, whether it be Holiday, whether it be Morgan Bryan, whether it be Carly Lloyd. I just feel like no matter what, they're going to be positioned well enough to mark whoever's coming in with the pass. Joe, you brought up their size. That's one of the things I've been loving about this team is even if they haven't been scoring goals, they've been very physical with the ball, even though it's been very Route 1 soccer in the sense of, we're just going to hoof it up to Rapinoe, we're going to hoof it up to one of the backs, or we're going to hoof it up to Morgan. They've been very strong for the most part in trying to stay with the ball and hold up as much as they can until someone else can either get it to Rapinoe out wide or get it to somebody to cross the ball in or take a shot. So I'm curious what happens. I really, like I said, want the 4-3-3 to stay. I feel like that's a perfect attacking formation for the talent that this team has. I'm curious to see who starts. I really honestly like that Morgan in the middle up top for against Germany because they utilized her speed often when they came to the Route 1 hoofing. They basically were like, we're going to hoof it up, you run. So there was often times where she either had – there's actually the one that Angerer blocked was a fantastic run by her, and I was really disappointed she didn't score on that one run, honestly. The one thing I do want to say, though, is when these forwards get forward, there are times, and I think I counted about 3 or 4 against Germany, where they were a little too selfish and launched one over the goal or launched one right at Angerer, where it's like you had 2 or 3 people to your right that were wide open, that if you just kind of slide it over, they're going to just knock it right past. Maybe they didn't think they had a lane and they couldn't react fast enough. That's fine. It's just that awareness up front kind of disturbed me against a really top-class team. Yeah. But I guess, hey, if number 2 beats number 1, they're number 1 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
two things not to forget.
To be the man, you got to beat the man, or to be the woman, you got to beat the woman.
So 2 things not to forget in this final. 1, Japan has not lost yet.
Yeah,
so it's hard to discount them. We've drawn a game; they haven't. They've won all their games.
Lost.
No, but they've won all of theirs. All 6 games, all 6 wins, all by 1 goal or whatever. But still, I don't care. The second thing is that if you've watched the U.S. throughout the tournament, toward about the 65th to 70th minute, the other team becomes completely beaten down by the U.S. and their stamina, their strength, their power. Yeah. So look for around the 70th minute, you'll probably see a goal, maybe a quick 2 goals by the U.S. Because once it gets down to the 70th minute, the other team is so worn out that it doesn't matter what style we play, they just can't keep up. And
that's been true. That's been true, and it's actually been fun to watch because then it gets a little more interesting because you'll bring on Kelly O'Hara in this last game that runs and runs and runs. A friend of ours that's a fellow podcaster was saying Tenacious K, and I was like, that's a great name for her because that's what my attributes for her was tenacity because she's always a very strong worker and always making those secondary runs, and she's a defender that used to be a striker, so she's kind of one of those players that knows where to be on any part of the field, so it's kind of nice. But at the same time, I'm hoping that we'll see. I want to see Wambach get her final goal in revenge or something like that. Even though I've been ripping her apart, just to win it all and go out on a nice bang, because a lot of these players want this because they were on the team last time, and you've got a lot of the older guard that's going to probably retire after this because you're going to see obviously Box and Rampone will be way too old next time. Wambach already said even though she would be maybe able to come back, she's done after this. So I really want them to win it for them too. So it's like the old guard that's leaving the team, just get out there, play, win, and just go at it in the future. And one thing to look for this team in the future after the Women's World Cup, I have a feeling we've always been fast. But I have a feeling this team's going to be very, very, very fast up front because the other 4 strikers that we have up there without Wambach's name is Amy Rodriguez, Morgan, Press, and LaRue, and they're all fast. So I feel like we're going to have a lot of speed going forward. For me, I'm going to say I think it's going to be 2 or 3-1 final for USA. As you just said, Tyler, the late goals might come in, so that's why I'm thinking maybe 3-1. Let's get a couple goals late and just seal the deal. Japan, I think, will eventually score at one point. Maybe Julie Johnston makes a mental error. She is young, so she could make another mental error like she did against Germany, and leaves open a hole for Japan either to score from play or some sort of set piece or something.
Yeah, but her mistake already happened. She's been the best player in the tournament so far.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I don't
think that's actually the closing thing I wanted to say is that, to me, she's the MVP. Tyler, who's your MVP?
No, definitely her. Definitely
Julie Johnson. Joey, who's yours?
Oh, shit. I don't know.
Nobody's specifically standing up.
Whoever scores the winning goal in this final.
There we go. I like your thoughts. That's good thinking there. Whoever gets the winning goal, I like it.
It'll be Johnston on a set piece because she hasn't scored yet on a set piece. But
I'm getting very annoyed by that.
But she's killing it. It's just they keep saving it.
Well, and early on, they didn't really target her because when Abby was playing, they'd always target Abby because, Abby's Abby and they need to get her the ball. And it's like, so they never really, after they got started in the World Cup, they never really gave a chance because they never really set her up for anything. So, but that's it. Sunday, USA winning the World Cup. Moving on to the free kicks. I'm going to come up kicking first. And second division soccer in the USA has been an interesting case this year, especially because earlier in the year, it was the first time ever that two leagues were both given the second division nomination by U.S. Soccer, since every year it changes usually, or some sort of system where they kind of say, hey, you're the second division, you're the third division. Or this is the first time USL and NASL had both shared the second division of U.S. Soccer title. But focusing on the NASL side, soccer is getting a little more palpable in the States, and more local soccer really is getting supported because at this rate right now, before their second half of their season starts on Saturday, NASL is averaging for most teams, except Edmonton. Edmonton's not really a big soccer area, but for most teams are averaging 5,000 in attendance, and some of the better teams are in the 10 to 12,000 in attendance average. If each team holds their average for the second half of the season through the playoffs, the total would be around 1,074,861 people showing up for MLS games in person. I mean, not MLS, NASL games in person for a second-tier league in the United States. That would be the very first time that had ever happened in the States. And to me, that's a great thing to see because you don't want it to be everyone from like Florida supporting a team like DC or a team like everyone's supporting LA Galaxy from Kansas or from Missouri or Texas. Who knows? I would rather it be local teams are actually getting these people showing up to their local teams and regardless of being in MLS or not, showing up and having fun and watching these teams. What are your gentlemen's thoughts before we move on to the next free kick?
Oh, it's better than college soccer, their attendance. It's honestly better than a lot of teams in Serie B in Italy. There's a lot of teams that struggle there to get even 5,000 people to a game, mostly because of economic conditions and whatnot. But I mean, it's good for the growth of the game here. That's for certain.
Yeah. I mean, even in the English, I won't say the English Premier League, but in the Football Association, I mean, the third tier, they only average about 5,000 as well per game. So it's not. I think there's a misconception that they draw 80,000 every game, no matter what the tier is. But really, it's you're talking about these third tier teams that don't draw more than 7,000 to 8,000. But here we are in MLS, we're drawing 15 for the Rapids or 16. So
well. Devil's advocate real quick for those fans. Most of those English fans, they're like 5 miles away from a Manchester United or from like a Chelsea or someone like that. So like let me give you a great example. A friend of mine grew up in Swindon Town, which is not very far from West London. Swindon is his club team, but they play in like I think League One in in the Football Association, whereas Chelsea, obviously, major Premier League team, champions, current holders. So their family is the fans of both because they're in Swindon, but they're 5 minutes away from Chelsea. So it's one of those scenarios where this is different for me because you're miles and miles and miles states away from some of these people being fans of LA just because they have the big name players or certain things like that. But now it seems to be more fans are checking out their local teams more. Is kind of my point instead of.
Well, yeah, wouldn't that be double their? Wouldn't that double their attendance then? I mean, because then you're talking about players or people who follow Swindon and also follow Chelsea, so they're double dipping. So for us now, with these teams getting those high attendance, then it to me that's awesome.
Yeah.
But to me that's also a case for what I'm saying, which is, people have this misconception of English football that they get all this attendance, but really it's quite amazing what's happening in this country. We have 313 million people, granted, but we've not been a soccer country, so for us to now suddenly start going to these local clubs, the USL teams, the NASL teams, it's actually quite cool to have people following in on their local club, whether it is USL or MLS. I just happen to have MLS, but if we had a Fort Collins team, USL team, I'd be all over it. But I would, in the same vein as what you're saying about Chelsea, I still would drive to the Rapids.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
But that would be my local club. Would be Fort Collins, so I'd go support them too. So it's crazy.
Tyler, you're up. Take your kick.
I want to talk about the hilarity, or at least laugh at, the FC Dallas fans, whom are close friends of mine usually.
Usually.
Well, because particularly the Dallas Beer Guardian folks are close friends of ours. But I want to laugh at them because they've been talking for months about how not MLS, but their ownership is so pathetic that they never look at anybody big name or anybody who's got great talent. And then, their ownership, admittedly, they're a bunch of D-bags, but when they do actually buy a player, they're looking at this guy, Abu Diaby, right, from Arsenal, who just got released from Arsenal. He's a bigger name player. He's a European guy that they were asking for, and their owner actually goes out and he's allegedly made an offer for him. They're all complaining now. They have a hashtag called SadFCDFan. So if you go to Twitter and you're an avid person, go to SadFCD, hashtag SadFCDFan. You can see them all tweeting about how angry they are at the ownership, and then keep in mind that their owner just allegedly put in an offer for Abu Diaby.
God.
And it's kind of pathetic to me that they are so flip-floppy. Like they're talking about our owner never buys anybody, and then he turns around and tries to buy him, and they're shitting on Abu Diaby about how injury-prone he is. And admittedly, that's fine. He's injury-prone, but he's a name. He's somebody who could come in and actually be good in this league, pending he actually plays. Because I think their gripe is that they only buy players that get injured, and that's fair. But at the same time,
that's somewhat fair.
You want a guy who is a bigger name. They go out and get a guy who is, because they're not a big market, so they can't really get these big name players like Chicharito or Dos Santos. But they get guys like Abu Diaby, kind of like Colorado, who are trying to rebuild their career maybe. But they go out and do it, and now they're complaining about that. It's so weird to me that they complain, and then on the back end they complain when he tries to follow through.
As a fan of a team that used to be owned by Hunt Sports Group, I kind of understand where they're coming from. At the same time, I get where you're getting at, and it is kind of sad because Diaby wasn't fantastically great at Arsenal, but I think he would be pretty good here. So I wouldn't be crying about it. I'd be happy. Hey,
tons of talent though.
We have a defensive mid kind of player that could be pretty good. Joe, you have any thoughts on Diaby to FC Dallas and?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that long ago that Hunt Sports Group was overseeing Thomas Crew, and we were bitching about these sorts of things as well. And I mean, we've gotten talent over the years, mostly due to the tremendous scouting effort in Argentina and the pipeline that's been created there.
That's true.
But I mean, Clark Hunt and the entire sports group, they're more concerned, let's face it, with operating the Kansas City Chiefs, and I mean FC Dallas is like a distant thought to them. It's really a testament to how much Lamar actually meant to this league that his own children don't even give a fuck.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel.
Pretty much.
He was so important. The day he passed, FC Dallas and Columbus, they became less of club in my opinion. Now, Columbus is on their rebound. We have this, mission statement, future, and blah blah blah, and hopefully we keep steering in the right direction. We'll see with the transfer market and how that goes. On tangent, Dallas. They do well on the field, but fans want more. They're always going to want more. That's why they're fans.
Mm-hmm.
If they weren't, they would just stay home and watch TV. But they're on an upswing. They're repentance, and you know what? I think they deserve it. I really think they deserve a decent game.
Well, it's just all Schadenfreude. That's all. All for me, because here we are in last place in the league, and we're not clamoring from some big name signing, but here they are in fifth, and they're like, oh, the world is falling apart around us. We'll never get good players. My God, have you seen Mauro Diaz play, you assholes?
I would love a Mauro Diaz type player, but
you have one.
But shut up. He's only been when he shows up.
Yeah, okay.
That's another conversation for another day, though. Joey, step up and take your kick.
All right, let's talk about kits. Cardiff City just unveiled their new home kits and their new home badge, and they're reverting back mostly to the Bluebird insignia. It's mostly looks like it's done on Photoshop or Paint or whatever you want to call it. It's basic, but I like it. I like basic. I don't believe in minimalism. I don't think it goes to that stretch, but it's good. It's simple and good. And the kits are blue now. They've gone back to being a blue team like they used to be. No more red. And this all seems well and dandy that Vincent Tan has pushed the club back into enjoying its history and tradition. With the only exception that on the new badge, the Welsh Dragon is now being replaced by a Chinese Dragon. What the fuck is wrong with this man? Even when he tries to take a step forward, he takes two back. We look back on the things that he's done, aside from switching the color for the team, and changing the badge around so that it's a dragon, so it appeals to Asian culture and other markets, and things like sacking the guy that got them to the Premiership, and what's the other one? What else do you do? Oh yeah, insisting that players that they bring in during a January window have in their birth date having having the number 8 in it somewhere. Like they have to be either August or on the 8th or born in
86 or in the 80s.
It's just insane. He's not mentally fit to be a number. He is not fit to be a number. Because I took one look at the kit and I was like, okay, well this is great. They're going in a step forward. And I took a look at the badge. I'm like, you know what? This looks good. And I noticed, oh wait, that's not a Welsh Dragon. That's a fucking Chinese Dragon that you see on their New Year. What the fuck?
Yeah, I just saw that. It's beautiful.
Oh god, it's just horrible. That's just horrible. I hate when owners meddle with history and try to make their own new history. The sad part is, it doesn't get much pub, but if you look at a lot of the lower division English teams like York City and all these other teams, Milton MK Dons, Milton Keynes Dons, those teams like they used to be Wimbledon and they used to be in the Premiership, and they get these crazy rebrand things that have been around for almost a century. So why are you messing with that? And it's just stupid. Luckily, like Joey said, they did have the win on the blue. Before Joey says his other kids, Kyle, do you have any other thoughts on Cardiff?
Yeah. I mean, I do like the Welsh Dragon, but that's like a total Great Britain dragon too. Like Leighton Orient has a similar. Theirs isn't a dragon, but it's very similar. You have that real triangular tail.
What you're talking about.
Yeah, but I just saw the badge because Joey brought it up, and it totally is. Dude totally put an Asian dragon on there. That is fucking ridiculous. Oh, Tan.
The funniest thing for me is I remember him when they were in the Premiership. I think they were playing Everton, and Seamus Coleman scored a goal, and he was like, "When are our fullbacks score more goals?" And he was like, "Buy fullbacks that are prolific and score goals." And the only guy I can think about that is a fake guy that was in Joey's FIFA 15 thing. That was a complete forward. But other than that, the right backs and left backs really don't score that many goals. So. He is just crazy and has no idea. Joey, go on with this.
He wondered why the goalkeeper hadn't scored a goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
Anyway, so in good kit news, Rayo Vallecano of Spain, they've put out 2 kits. One, more notably, is their Rainbow Sash kit, which is each color of the rainbow represents some group that they're going to donate £5 worth of each jersey sold. That's awesome. These groups include cancer, disabled rights, depression, environment, child abuse, domestic abuse, and homophobia. So they've covered a wide range of groups. So for every jersey that gets sold, they're going to put £5 towards all these groups. And then they also have another shirt that's just a pink sash that's also meant for breast cancer awareness. I'm not sure what the details are on sales of those shirts, but I think it's good for club to be that socially aware.
Agreed.
And I think £5 worth can go a long way. I mean, it's obviously going to get divided a lot between 7 groups worth, but I mean, it's something, and something's always better than nothing. So
that's true.
That said, I do actually like the Cardiff City kit. I know we were talking about it as crappy, but I do kind of like the kind of gradient blue. Not to go back, but the Vallecano shirts are so good. That's so cool. I didn't even know about the donation. I just thought it was cool that they're having a rainbow seemingly in support, but the fact that they're socially aware is pretty kick-ass, actually. Aren't they the club that was just bought by supporters? Weren't they for sale to supporters? I think they are, that you could buy shares in them and you got a certificate, and they actually came with the certificate, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
I know there's a lot. I want to say there is a club.
It just recently happened.
Hold on, let me check Tony Khalifa's profile page.
Who?
He's going full Tony.
No, I'm not going full Tony.
I'm just messing with you.
Because it was either Rayo Valladolid or Valladolid. I don't know how you pronounce that. Valladolid.
I think it was like Valladolid, or I'm not sure.
But it could have been Vallecano. I can't remember. But one of the clubs. But even so, the fact that they are that socially aware is so kick-ass. I mean, that is so cool. I'd probably buy that shirt anyway, just because of that.
Yeah. I love it because with I'm not getting too political or anything. With all the great news that we heard last week, I'm just happy that there are so many people embracing it. I have plenty of friends that are affected by that, and I'm happy for them, really. And
it's not often that football, soccer is intertwined with such a cool story like what we've had in the U.S. the past couple of weeks. But the fact that we can now talk about this on a soccer show and it actually is relevant, it spreads that word to a lot of other groups that normally wouldn't be able to talk about it. So
and the worst part is most soccer fans, especially, are synonymous with being racist or being vulgar towards these types of people. So this is a great thing by club to say, hey, we're not, because you see often where we have racist fans throwing people off of a sub, or we have bananas thrown at certain players or things like that. So to see something like this is just something great to kind of make you forget about all the bad times that have gone through with fans and supporting the sport. Joey, anything else in that?
No. I think that's it. That's all the good news I have. So, yeah.
Well, I think I just heard the ref blowing the final whistle. So until we meet again, gentlemen.
Sayonara, suckers.
Arrivederci.